Chargers fans, good morning. We have some breaking news coming out of Los Angeles, and we've been hearing a lot of reports about a Justin Herbert extension, about a lot of different things. Keenan Allen, Khalil Mack, and we'll get into all this cap restructuring, but I'm here with my good friend Lorenzo Neal to hear about Chargers star running back Austin Ekeler is requesting permission to talk with other teams about potential trade options. According to multiple reports, Lorenzo Neal, we have some contract disputes. First off and foremost, how are you? And second off, what are your thoughts on this bombshell of news to start this week?
Yeah, well, hey, I'm great, man. I just, it's kind of been quiet on the front, and now free agency and all those things are starting up and kicking around and seeing where different guys are going. So, yeah, I know we're always excited about the season, but sometimes you got to go through the pain in order to get to the good. And right now, here's some of the free agent and guys with wanting extensions, and this is the good, the bad, the ugly of the National Football League.
So Austin Ekeler's agent, Cameron Wise, right? He said preliminary talks with the Chargers about a contract extension. They just haven't progressed, Lorenzo Neal. Listen, Austin Ekeler, he scored 38 total touchdowns over his last 2 seasons. No other player has more than 26 touchdowns in that span. So from a surface level, it's a no-brainer that Austin Ekeler has all the leverage in these contract talks. But we also have to be cognizant on the other side of how running backs have aged in the National Football League. Austin Ekeler is going to be 28 years old. His new deal is probably going to run him until his age 32, 33 season. And we know the back end of that deal won't age well. Is Austin Ekeler the kind of player, Lorenzo, where as a Chargers organization, you just have to say we have to take care of him regardless of what he wants? Or do you kind of agree with the Chargers' mindset of holding firm here and potentially losing their star running back as he kind of enters the back end of his prime?
Yeah, I just think that you're in a tough situation because you have Ekeler and what he brings to the offense, the things that he accounts for with this offense. Who's going to be that guy right now? And when you look at this Chargers team and think about what he brings, I just think this is a hard guy to replace. And I don't think you can replace Austin Ekeler because of what he is in this offense and what a security blanket he is for Herbert. So this is going to be interesting times to see what the Chargers do, because I'm telling you right now, you don't want to go into this season without Ekeler if you don't have anyone out there. And newsflash, a lot of teams aren't letting any other backs go. What, you want Ezekiel Elliott for come on. Ezekiel Elliott, his better days are behind him. So when you're thinking about some big name guys that may be on the free agent market or may be out there, is there any better than Ekeler? And for the type of offense the Chargers run, passing game, you want a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, Ekeler fits this offense pretty well.
Well, it's certainly difficult, right? And now, Lorenzo Neal, there's been a lot of links between an Austin Ekeler, Derrick Henry potential trade, and that's what's kind of being discussed. Both running backs have 1 year left on the deal. Derrick Henry's also older, 29, going to be 30 years old. But here's the reason why I think Austin Ekeler has all the leverage in these negotiations. Lorenzo, listen, the Chargers have drafted a running back in 3 straight drafts, but none have really became that clear answer allowing Austin Ekeler to leave, right? Josh Kelly 3 years ago, Larry Roundtree 2 years ago, Isaiah Spiller last year. With all due respect, that gives Austin Ekeler more ammunition because the Chargers have invested in 3 guys hoping that when this day came, they would allow Austin Ekeler to walk and have one of those 3 guys to be their guy, but that simply hasn't become the case. And that just gives someone like Austin Ekeler more leverage, right?
No question. And let's not forget, we'll be remiss. Who did Austin Ekeler come in and replace? Think about the running back that they spent a first-round pick
Melvin
that was
Gordon.
there, and who came and took the spot?
Melvin Gordon. Ekeler. It's coming back full circle. If things as you may. So here's what I want to say, and Daniel Popper of The Athletic writes, here's Austin Ekeler's case for a new deal. All right, listen, he's been one of the most productive players in football over the past 2 seasons. And yet, he ranks 13th among running backs in average annual value, right? His $7.75 million cap hit is very low. It's top. It's number 11 among running backs. Yet, let's be real, all right? He's objectively underpaid, all right? And there is definitely some leverage here. But in addition to that, the Chargers will be lying to your faces if they were to tell you that they don't need Austin Ekeler on the field. When nothing was going in the pass game, when no one was getting open, when Justin Herbert didn't have time, he had this thing called the bailout button, and the bailout button was named Austin Ekeler. Passing game, running game, whatever it may be. And I understand the Chargers are in a tough cap situation. Low, they had to restructure Keenan. They had to restructure Khalil Mack. But seriously, Low, put on your GM cap for us. Help us one time. What are you doing here? Because we know the end of this deal wouldn't age well. We know that. So what do you do here?
I think that you sit with Austin and you get with his representative and said, hey, how do we do this? What is the way that we solve this? Do we talk about giving any more money up front and try to lower this number, the cap number? Do you try to make incentives, do some incentives that to make it incentive based, that, reach some incentives to try to find a way to make him happy? Because you want both parties to find a way to be happy in this. And look, let me tell you something, without a doubt. Yes, we understand it's not going to age well. We understand the things, the nuances around football. But I'll tell you right now, you know it and I know it. When they want to find money in the Chargers or any organization, if they want a player bad enough, let me tell you, they will get it done no matter what. So, yeah, I know the cap and you're up against it and all those things. That's why you got the capologists that come in and they look at these numbers and crunch numbers.
Yeah.
You know that if they want to keep him there, I'm telling you, they can find a way.
Everyone, we also want to shout out our sponsors, betonline.ag, your number one source for all betting needs. We had March Madness coming up, the NCAA tournament. Listen, my UCLA Bruins, they lost Taylor Clark for the year. But I'm telling you, Lo, yes, sir, very dangerous team coming out of the Western region, my UCLA Bruins, as well as NFL futures. Go to BetOnline. Jalen Ramsey is a Miami Dolphin. There's a lot of activity. It seems like the Rams are starting to sell. So go predict where Austin Ekeler's next team will be. Hopefully it's still the Los Angeles Chargers. Go to BetOnline. Use promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for $50 off your welcome bonus. Now, listen, here's another deal with Austin Ekeler, Lorenzo Neal. He'll be 28 during the 2023 season. And people are going to argue, oh my goodness, age. But let's be real. He's only missed one game in the past 2 seasons. That's a rarity for Austin Ekeler. And listen, Austin Ekeler has been a fan favorite. He's been a very community-driven guy for the Chargers. And he is in full right to want his money because he deserves his money more than most players who are getting their money. And I couldn't agree with that statement more, Low. I mean, this guy is getting bamboozled between the tackles every single day for 2, 3, 4 years. He deserves to get his final payday and drive into the sunset in paradise. But it's definitely difficult as an organization who has to make decision-making. So, Low, here's where the biggest question now becomes. Austin Ekeler, there's a guy named Bijan Robinson who's one of the better running back prospects in a long time coming out of the University of Texas. You think the Chargers are going to make a play here and trade up for a running back of his caliber?
That could be something very, very possible, but is it probable? Do you go up for an unknown product in college to say that they're going to come in there, and now when you're talking about a team that wants to get to the playoffs and try to go deep in the playoffs, are you going to bank on a rookie to go ahead and carry the load? I just don't think that he brings you that gravitas that Austin Ekeler does in the passing game in the crunch time. So, yes, if you're going to trade up to get him, you still better keep Austin Ekeler and give him some type of incentives and say if it's a 1-year deal or a 2-year extension and say, look, understanding we're going to do a 3-year extension and understand that at 31, he should be on, he's going to be 28 during the season. He's still got at least 3 good years that you could say that he can play because the way that you use Austin Ekeler, he's not the guy that's going to be a bruising runner in between tackles. He's a guy that doesn't take a lot of big shots, doesn't get a lot of big hits. His best value is out in the flat and the passing game, outside the tackles, giving the ball out on the perimeter. So when you look at Ekeler, you say, how is he, and how durable is he? He's pretty durable, and the offense and the offensive coordinator, they know how to use Austin Ekeler to his advantage and not have him running in between tackles. So yes, you do need eventually get a boy dog, a guy that can run in between tackle with consistency, a guy that can move the chains with consistency. And I don't think the Chargers have found that, and I think you understand that, but you just can't get rid of a guy like Austin Ekeler because he gives you so much more value besides just running the ball. It's the unmutable things, the knowledge, the wisdom, the passing game. So those are hard things to do. So with that, with long-winded answer, no, I just can't go with the rookie over Austin Ekeler.
I couldn't agree more. But listen, at the end of the day, this makes this offseason for Isaiah Spiller, product out of Texas A&M for the Chargers, that much more important. Right now, we would hope that Austin Ekeler comes back, but the other running backs, the organization, Justin Herbert, they all have to operate under the assumption as if Austin Ekeler won't come, right? It's the same thing as under promising and over delivering, right? You have to be prepared for the worst case situation. And it's going to be very, very interesting. Listen, there Eckler's camp wanted to get something done for a while. And that's why, this is happening when it's happening. This comes at a critical juncture for Austin Ekeler in his career. Again, I want to stress that to Chargers fans. There should be absolutely zero frustration for Austin Ekeler and why he's doing this, right? He's 27. He's going to be 28 years old. He's been an all-pro. In my opinion, he should have been over the last 2 seasons. He has more touchdowns than any other running back by more than 10 over the last 2 seasons. The dude is touching the ball 300 times a season. This guy deserves every single penny and some. And I guarantee you that there will be at least one team out of 32 who is going to take care of him. And that team may not be the Chargers, but as long as Austin Ekeler gets taken care of by one of those 32 teams, he's exercising his right in an appropriate manner. So, Lorenzo, I know you're giggling over there. What's so funny, Neal?
Because you're being real and you're just talking about, hey, look, he deserves his money, his chicken, as you say. He wants to make that chicken, and I agree with you. But I would tell you right now, and yes, would there be one other team that would pay him more? There's going to be more than one. You know that, and I know that. But let me tell you right now, Austin Ekeler has zero to no chance of leaving the Chargers. This is Austin Ekeler, bowing up, drawing his line in the dirt to say, pay me.
This is a move. This is tactical, you're saying.
No question. This is a tactical move because you just laid out the reason why you can't. You talk about this guy touches the ball over 300 times. Maybe not running, but passing and running total over 300 times a season. That's too much of your offense. It's no way. And you know where they are not letting Austin Ekeler leave the building. This is a move that he's saying, look, you guys use me and I'm overused for the money that I'm getting. So that's why he's coming with his hat in hand saying, fill my hat up because you guys, I have outplayed this contract and you guys use me more than what I should be used. So I want to be compensated for it. This is no different than the Debo, Sam. Remember what happened to Debo and with the Niners? He pretty much carried that team to the NFC Championship 2 years ago, and you saw what happened. Debo demanded to be paid because he was touching the ball at the running back position, the receiver position, every position. This guy was all over the field. Austin Ekeler is in the same situation, and he's saying, look, even I have another year on my contract, I've outplayed and outperformed this contract, so rip it up. And I think the Chargers will.
Lo, it's interesting, too, because the power of social media is so strong these days. Right now, we can use it as an outlet for athletes, for agents, too, as the ultimate negotiation bargain, right? You have the 3 to 4 biggest writers in each sport, where I guarantee you all agents have a strong rapport with, and an agent here or there is going to be like, yo, Woj, yo, Shams, yo, Jeff Passan, yo, whoever, Ian Rappaport, Schefter, leak this info a little bit. I think it's going to get my guy an extra 3, 4, 5 a year. And it's the power of their mediums. It's the power of their following. It's the power of the movement that actually plays a role like that. So, Lo, what would you guys do back 15, 20 years ago before there was all this Twitter stuff in order to gain more leverage in contract talks? Because there wasn't no Twitter to be like, I'm going to gain a leg up. Was there another tactic that y'all did when you were kind of negotiating contracts?
Well, you still had the media that you could go to the media. I came in. You act like I wasn't around when cell phones wasn't around. You know what? Go to hell, Borna. Go to hell, Borna. You act like you was there with the dinosaur age. I mean, come on, God. I'm still pretty in the face and slim in the waist. I was in the 2000s, 2010. We had phones. We had Red Book, Facebook. We had all those. We had.
Do you recognize this? Do you recognize this?
You're terrible. See, hey, you guys go on here and get on Borna for messing with your boy Neal. You guys go at him, come at his helmet for messing with your boy Lo. Yeah, we had. No, a lot of it was just the media. Understand, the guys that around, like guys are still writing, like the Michael Silvers, Mike Silva, and ESPN and all these different writers and for Jaws at the time and the different guys. You still had Schefter, and you start leaking little things. Hey, call up a guy, and your agent would leak it out to different teams. Hell, GMs. You don't think that Austin Ekeler has been around? He walks out on the football field, and the head coach says, "Hey, what's up?" Or the GM walks over and says hello. I've had so many coaches that I've known and played for and played against that, man, Neal, we love watching you play. But you get their numbers in the offseason, you pick up the phone, hey, man, I'm thinking about making a move. So it happens in football. It's no different. So Austin Ekeler has a great name and he's very well respected in this league. So yeah, it's a lot more easier now because all you do, like you said, is go to social media, scrub your page, make some noise, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, he wants to be out there." So the media
Yeah.
has been a positive thing for entertainers and positive things for a lot of people in the world, and also it's been a negative because sometimes the wrong information, things get out, and so we understand the media can help, but it also could be a curse. And I'm not just talking about football; I'm talking politics, everything. You know that.
Absolutely. And it's listen, at the end of the day, we'll find out to see what happens in free agency with the Austin Ekeler situation. Listen, we all know free agency low is already going to start out with a bang, right? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you found out Javon Hargrave signs with the 49ers from the Eagles. Niners gave him a 4-year, $84 million deal. That just came out. We got some other big news coming out in free agency. So I think people forget. And ahead of free agency, the Chargers restructured their contracts of Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. The Chargers were over the cap, but because of the restructure they were able to do on Saturday, they created $26 million in cap space. The Chargers converted $23 million of Bosa's base salary to a bonus that cut his cap number in half, almost similar to Khalil Mack. Also, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams had their contracts restructured earlier this week, which created an additional $14 million in cap space. That's why you give these guys, these cap experts, just a little bit of a salary because they're able to create 30, 40, 50 million more dollars for these teams to spend right ahead of free agency. And now the Chargers are back at it. They got money to spend. Brandon Staley's got a ton of his former Rams players back in 2020 on the free agent market. I'm sure he's going to be targeting them. John Johnson, some other guys. Heck, I know he wasn't this player. Bobby Wagner should be an interesting name. The Chargers need a linebacker. What are your thoughts heading into free agency for the Chargers and the overall National Football League?
Yeah, I think Bob Wagner still has a couple years on the deal. And here's the deal: you can get a Bobby Wagner a guy for cheap. You get a guy as a veteran guy that can come in and sign a 2 to 3 year deal. And hey, look, Bob, we're going to have you here for your veteran. We understand you can't run, can't do a lot of things that you used to do, but we understand you still play. We understand what you bring to the table. Play with a guy like that, Randall Goffrey, who was with me on the Chargers, and Donnie Edwards. Those guys, you know what they did? They just brought that gravitas and that leadership to the defense. Even as they get older, even myself, you understood what you were getting. So you got a guy like Bob Wags that, hey, this is a good guy that you know will be a good move that can come in and start still, but still can play and still can get young guys in the position to be put in the right place and be that coach on the field. So I think free agency is going to be interesting. And those goes, trust me, when you look at these salary cap, when you're in a good situation with the Keenan and those guys, you're like, man, yeah, they lost a little money on the back end, but you look at they get that money up front, and that's what you want. So when you see the Bosas and Cleo Max, yeah, they lost probably 5-10 million. You say, man, overall, but if you're getting that money up front, because you never know how long you're going to play, and that goes back to Ekeler.
It's a great
Ekeler
point.
understands that, hey, let me try to get some of this money up front because I understand on the back end I'm not going to be what I used to be. So he needs to strike while the iron is hot. But free agency, it's going to be a whirlwind because there is a fight. It's like an arms race in the NFC and the AFC. You look at Kansas City. Kansas City is still the team to beat. We get that. We saw what they're able to do. But you look at Baltimore. Baltimore, Maine, what's going to happen there? What's going to happen with Miami? Look at Miami already making moves to try to get better defensively, getting another corner. You look around the Niners, what moves are they going to make? You look at the AFC, Cincinnati, the Bengals. This is crazy.
The Niners, I'm telling you, I'm sure your phone's blowing up after we hop off. They just made a massive move getting Javon Hargrave from the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a Pro Bowler in 21. He was awesome last year. They gave him a 4-year, $84 million contract. He was talking to the Bengals. No one was expecting the Niners. So Javon Hargrave, $40 million guaranteed. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, happened 2-3 minutes ago, have agreed to a 4-year contract. The Niners defensive line just gets scarier.
That is wow. To get Harve Graves, what he's going to bring to the Niners, him and Nicky Bosa. Wow. And here's the deal. There's possible he could have got more money. And it's possible but he understood, okay, let me go to a team that's going to compete. Let me go to a team that has some other boy dogs on that defensive front. You think about what this team is going to be, Niners defensively.
It's ridiculous.
It's going to be ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah, I'm texting my buddies. That is a ridiculous. That D-line is going to be even better than last year, which is I don't really know what I can say there. But listen, Chargers fans, it'll be very interesting to know what this team continues to do. They just re-signed Easton Stick. It looks like Chase Daniels' run is over with the Chargers. I think a lot of people are going to argue what this team does as a third receiver option. I think that's also very important. What are the Chargers going to do at 21, right? Let's assume that Ekeler is going to stay. What do they do with the 21st overall pick? I think the line is all right. Maybe you can take a shot, but I want to see Tom Telesco take a flyer and take a skill guy in the first round. I need to see a receiver who can blow the top open for Justin Herbert and the Chargers, right? That's not who Keenan Allen is. Keenan Allen's a stick mover, and he's fantastic. Mike Williams, sure, he's a one-on-one contested ball guy, but he's not going to blow you over the top. Right? They need a Garrett Wilson. They need a Chris Olave, right? So a guy like Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State is making me lick my chops. I want the Chargers to hit on a home run guy so badly because it's going to change the whole team, Lo.
Look at I love you because you know what? I can tell you're one of those young guys. See, this is the difference in a veteran and you guys want the shiny car. You want a speedster and you want a guy to take the top. And I get it. And yes, it's great to have those type of weapons. But when you think about how do you win Super Bowls to me are won in the trenches too. So when you look at the offensive line and say, is this offensive line good enough to protect? If not, then how do we all look at my defense? I think that this team should invest offensive line and defensive line because here's the thing. When you look at Brady, when he was winning Super Bowls, yes, he had Gronkowski, but who was his receivers? When Brady was winning Super Bowl, who was his receiver? This past year, Mahomes just won another Super Bowl. Who's his receiver? When I'm looking at football and you look at, I know everyone talks about these big names, and I agree. They are definitely, if you have a great one, you can win, and they can help you win tremendously. I get that. But for me, when you have a quarterback, you make sure you protect the quarterback, and the quarterback, when you have a quarterback of this caliber and Herbert, he wins you games. You don't need necessarily phenomenal receivers because your quarterback is supposed to be pretty phenomenal.
Low. It's crazy we're recording right now. We got more breaking news. I have a question for you. Mike McGlinchey, right? He was the Niners right tackle. What are your thoughts on him? The Broncos just gave him a 5-year, $87.5 million deal with $50 million guaranteed. A lot of Niner fans are texting me he was good, but not that good. What are your thoughts on Denver giving him that contract? The Broncos, Mike McGlinchey, 5 years, 87. What are your thoughts on that? Because he was a Niner. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Let me tell you right now, Mike McGlinchey is a class act, great veteran player, a player that I would love to play with, a good man, a good person that loves football. He's a pro. You're going to get a guy that's going to be a pro and going to be consistent and come in there and work his ass off. But I'm going to tell you right now, the Broncos, that is not a good move. It's a good move for here's a little Michael McGlinchey's a little light and behind. He got a little hot. He plays a little heavy. He's been beat up, a lot of injuries. I'm telling you right now, the Denver, I know, you're trying to win and trying to, you got Russell Wilson. You're saying, hey, look, let's go out here and do the things. So many times the Niner had to slide protection, play with 2 tight ends on that side, do other things. He got really beat up, and maybe because a lot of injuries. I don't want to talk about the man but I'm happy because he got his chicken. But I'm telling you right now, I'm very, very, very surprised that type of price ticket.
Wow. Yeah,
80 million, 50 guaranteed. That is wow.
Yeah, because that's not. I've heard he's very solid, but that's not like a Pro Bowl move. The Broncos just. Never mind. The Lions are signing Cam Sutton to a 3-year deal for $33 million, 22 guaranteed. I don't know why we just started to do this show when free agency is just blowing up right now. Cam Sutton, cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We should do a free agent special, but it's crazy to see what's going to happen with a lot of these Chargers players. Low, I'll leave you to it, guys. Next time we'll chat. We'll chat next week talking about other free agency. We'll know a lot more about the Chargers moves, the insights. But again, Harve Graves to the Niners, McGlinchey to the Broncos, Cameron Sutton to the Lions. And I'm sure even in a day from now, there's going to be a plethora of other moves. Low, you ready for free agency, my friend?
Absolutely. People can go on Bet Online and see where they bet that Ekeler gets traded. I'm a bet that he won't, and I'm a bet that he gets some more money. And how about bowler up, hammer down? I know you're rocking with the UCLA Bruins. I'm going to go with Purdue Boilermakers, baby.
Nah, get out of here. Nah, in all seriousness, Lo, great seeing you. Great chatting with you. Chargers fans, go check out the show. Believe in Chargers on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. That's Lo Neal. I'm Borna Nazari, everyone. We're signing out. Peace out.